Today's episode of The Last Podcast is a conversation with Ryan O'Connor. He is a writer, director, editor, voiceover artist. He's been featured on Adult Swim, Vimeo staff picks. He's also a longtime friend of this show. So long, in fact, I'm pretty sure he's in episode 1 of this podcast. Anyway, he recently directed a short film that's called A Walk with Dad, which is about him and his father visiting his mother's grave after avoiding it for many years. Which makes it sound very grim, but it's not. It is funny and sweet and sad, and really just a terrific 7 minutes. So the link to watch A Walk with Dad, it's going to be in the details for this episode, and I actually think that you should just watch it before you even listen, because toward the end, we get pretty in-depth, and I think it'll be easier to follow along. Not required, but just suggested. Okay, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. All right, so since the last time I talked to you, it was like a long time ago. It was like before I had kids and stuff.
About that. Yeah, it was a really long time ago. No, I was drunk during that interview, I
think. I think you might have said that you were, yeah. As I've sort of connected with a couple of people that I haven't talked to in years, it doesn't feel like years to me because, like, you know, you have a couple of kids and then all of a sudden time just starts to like slip through your fingers, you know, and you're like, oh, it's been years? Really? It's been years? Okay.
On my end as well, it doesn't feel like that long ago.
And I think it's also because all of our lives have like stopped moving forward in March. So we've only been able to like think backwards.
That's true. And it feels like a whole different world, doesn't it? Back then, it's very strange. It's really strange. It's hard to sort of put into words.
I think we really are actually probably like our brains are getting reprogrammed by everything. And I think that amounts to, I think a lot of stuff, like I think the protests that we're seeing and like the level of like, finally the level of anger at like the sort of systemic injustice in our world is because people kind of like, they got to like step out of like their lives for a little while and like observe them from a distance and go like, you know, like there's some stuff about this I don't need to go back to.
Did you read that? Do you know about Charles Eisenstein? Have you read him? He wrote this really nice thing recently about coronavirus, which was like how it's sort of like a rehab for normality. Like it's like a rehab center for normality that we can sort of take a step back and look at what normality was and assess it. Do we want to go back to it? Do we want to start a new normal? I definitely changed a lot of, or seen a lot of stuff in myself that I would like to change moving forward because I had this break from me, I suppose, or who I was.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I don't know what parts of me are changing because of that or because of like just like being a father now, you know, like it was gonna happen anyway. So like a lot of this stuff feels like it feels like the events of the world lined up with my like biorhythms in like a really weird way. It probably made this a lot easier for me than anybody else. Yeah. Like I think I when I think about it, probably compared to like everyone else in the world.
Yeah.
I have had probably like the top 10 easiest time, you know, because of so much stuff, because of what was already happening with my like career, because of the age of my children, you know, that because of my age and the kind of like the sort of like planned introspection that already happens when you like reach the age that I reached, like it's all of it lined up very perfectly. The fact that I just like really needed to get a lot of lawn care done, you know, like it's just every element of this just timed out perfectly for me.
You've nailed coronavirus.
Yes, I have. I absolutely. I structured my life to be timed perfectly to have like a 12 to 18 month break right about here.
You're winning. You're winning. When it comes to the coronavirus, you're winning.
Yes, I am.
first, when we were going in, I was one of those people that was saying, oh, it's no different than my normal life. And then by now, like a few months in, I'm realizing how sad that was, that my life was sort of pre-made for lockdown. And like, I wasn't really living my life. You know, I was like, it's like walking into a prison and going, well, what's the difference?
So you think now, when you are no longer locked down, do you think you'll be different on that front?
Probably not. Let's see.
It seems like a lot of the creative stuff that you were involved in was stuff that you could kind of do. You know, you were doing a lot of voiceover animation stuff, which was really cool. But that stuff you can do at home.
Yeah, it can. I was doing it at home. Yeah, it's all done in this tiny box that I live in. But yeah, I don't know if that's good.
It is good for right now, right? Because you didn't have to really change that much of what you do. True. But you know, it's like people that were already germaphobes. Like they've been vindicated.
Yeah, true. Yeah, good point. Yeah. And will they get worse coming out of this?
I think we'll all become a little bit like that. I mean, I am absolutely, when I am out in the world, when I was in my office today, I am so conscious of where my hands are. And I know you can't feel germs. I know you can't feel them on your skin. Objectively, I know this is true. But spiritually, I can feel the germs. Like I can literally feel them like burning my skin in the places where I touched my face. I was pretty sure I used hand sanitizer, and then I like scratched my eye. But I was like, did I? You know? And then my eye was stinging like the whole time I was there. But like I have glaucoma, so like my eyes sting anyway. So like, all right, well, let's talk about your film, because this is, speaking about things culminating and like life experiences really working out. I feel like A Walk with Dad, which is what it's called, is like, it is the perfect culmination of the kind of like the spirit that you have cultivated through a lot of your work so far, you know, because you have this kind of like, it's not like an ironic detachment, but you have a little bit of a remove, right? In your voice and in kind of like the spirit of the things that you make. Like you make a lot of like absurd short films and that kind of thing. And they're kind of like wacky. And what I love about this short film is that it like disarms you in that same way, where you have this kind of like remove. There's a literal remove a lot of the time, with the camera person being so far away from you and your father, but hearing what you're saying. And, you know, it reaches a point where there's kind of like an emotional climax between you and your father, and it works so well, and it's so moving, in part because it's like, it's you know, and you're like, oh my God, there's like, we made it through the Ryan O'Connor armor. And it feels really good. It feels great. You know, it's like, it's such a cathartic moment.
We made it, first of all, great segue. That was a great segue at the beginning. So the Ryan O'Connor armor, now I have to even do this detachment right now. What do you mean?
Well, actually, I don't think it's true in person. like when you and I have talked to each other, you are very willing to talk about your life and your feelings and that sort of thing. But your sort of like on-camera persona is like a little bit like funny robot or something, or like funny alien, you know?
Okay. That's not the first time I've been called an alien.
Yeah, because you kind of like have this, you know, it's a lot of like, you're like observing something and you're not sure why it is that way. Like, why is it that we do, but it's not like Jerry Seinfeld going like, what's the deal with? It's like, curious that this thing is this thing. So that's your normal vibe. But even if someone like, I know you've screened this film at some festivals and stuff. So even if people were watching this and did not know that about you from previous work, you still get it from your initial like sort of introduction because the way that you talk in the voiceover is like you have the kind of like a flatter affect, you know, and then you are sometimes capable of, and it kind of the whole thing over the course of a couple of minutes travels from like deadpan to serious, or like not serious, but like it's because it's still funny, and your dad is very funny. But that's the other thing, is that you kind of you start to like shift the weight of being funny over to your dad throughout the whole thing. So I guess, I mean, I'm talking about this thing like it's like a work of fiction, but it wasn't, right? Like how was this originally? Where did this start?
That's the twist. That's the twist. It's all fake. She's really alive, and here she is. No. Well, I'd run out of ideas mainly. That's why that film happened. And this was, I don't really know. What was the question? How did it happen?
What did you start with? Did you just think, I want to go visit my mother's grave, and maybe it would be interesting to take a camera with me?
Yeah, I think it started with therapy, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I can give Trisha Montague credit for. That's my therapist. She did unlock, because that was one aspect in my life that I didn't really talk about. And it almost felt like I believed that I didn't need to. I still don't think, I necessarily need to like tell everyone all the time, but it was definitely something I just didn't think about. So when it started coming up in therapy, this thing of not going to see her, to see the stone, was kind of a big thing, I think. Like the fact that me and my dad did talk about it, but never really went, and it wasn't really a part of our lives, was becoming more and more stranger to me. My initial sort of going to therapy thing was that I wasn't making anything. I didn't feel like I was very creative, or where I had been in the past, and it felt to me like this was answering both questions. This was the answer to both things, of like reconnecting with her and starting to make things again. This thing had kept coming up of like my mum, and like not really talking about that, and finding it difficult to and not being able to make things. And so I guess the intention was always to film it, which is pretty, I don't know if that's sad or not, or like kind of twisted in a way, but
I mean, I can tell you that I don't think it's twisted. I feel I'm like a very strong believer in kind of using art to process your feelings.
Yeah.
And actually not just that. I have begun to use it as an educational tool for myself too. I think that even my understanding of social issues is greatly improved if I have to make something about it. So I will create, like a podcast or some other piece of work to help me understand an issue, and then I understand it, and I didn't understand it until that point.
That's quite good.
Yeah. I think Arlo's on his way to a nap. Oh. Hey, you headed to a nap, buddy?
Yes.
Here, come here. Say hi to Ryan.
Hey,
hello.
Hello.
I'm sneaking.
Hi. How are you doing?
Lunch.
What? You're sneaking to eat lunch?
Yes.
Okay.
The question keeps coming up in my head is like, how is this meaningful to me? Or like, how does this what will I get out of this when I'm making something, or when I think about making something. It makes it harder just to make things for the sake of making them. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think that the trick is that you have to, as a person who's like made like a work that explores my own emotions before and have had like a lot of positive response to it and felt like I got a lot out of it personally, you have to just like not try to do it. Like you have to almost avoid doing more stuff like that, and then the important stuff will find you. You know, you'll get forced to do it, and it's, you know, it kind of sounds like, yeah, like at some point in your life you were always going to have to make this film. You know, it's too good of a visual metaphor. You know, like the fact that this happened to you at a young age and you kind of like put it away inside yourself and did not take it back out. And not only that, but there was like a physical place that was like a representation of dealing with that you were also avoiding this physical place. Yeah, it's like, it's too good as a person with like a creative mind. Like there was no way around it. You were going to have to do it.
Yeah. And I feel like I wasted it. That could have been and it just went on Vimeo. But,
well, I mean, you took it. You screened it like a couple of times, right?
Yeah, it's true.
How do people respond to it, like in a public setting?
Really well. Like I was pretty shocked. Yeah, I mean, people laughed. That was the most shocking thing. But also, they found it very emotional. There was like a few tears. Yeah, I really enjoy screening it. It's more because I like sort of showing off my dad a bit, like getting, I like to share how much I love my dad, and I kind of want people to love him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, it's a really great, your relationship with your father comes across very clearly on the screen. It's very funny. And very, like, it feels very real, you know? So that's one thing that I think is cool about it, is that, so in part because of the way it's all shot, right? With like at a distance and everything. And in part because of the way that you and your father really interact with each other. It really feels like somehow an accident that any of it got filmed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of, I mean, in a way, that's kind of what the setup was there for. I mean, it was there so Ollie, the guy who filmed it, was sort of like so far away that at points we didn't even really know where he was, and the idea was to just try and be as natural as possible. But I kind of ruined that, because the whole time I was thinking, we must get something funny, otherwise it'll be too serious. And then kind of ruined it by trying to be funny and trying to make my dad be funny. But I managed to find those moments where it was more natural.
But you see, I think that's you though, right? Like that's your true self, right? Is the guy who is trying to find, who's still trying to direct it, you know, like still trying to direct even your personal life, even when there are no cameras. Like I'm also like that. That's how I can tell, you know? Yeah. And so I don't feel like your true self and the reality of what's happening comes out despite your best efforts, right? Like it's you're supposed to try and stop it from seeming natural. That's like your job. And what you hope to happen is that the reality of the situation and the reality of the emotions and everything will just defeat you. And it does.
Yeah.
I had a technical question I wanted to ask you. There is a lot of footage of your mother, and I love the way that it's cut in. Did you do anything to that footage? Because it has like a very particular look.
No.
Nothing at all? So that's just the way that the footage like aged?
That's just, I think it was on an old DV tape, not a VHS tape. So it's been recorded onto a DV, and then And then digitalized, I suppose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about it that is,
It's a good question.
it didn't feel like have you ever seen, this is such a weird comparison, have you ever seen the VHS horror movies? They're like
What?
they're found footage horror movies, and all of them are kind of shot in a different fashion. Some of them are like, there's one where a bunch of teenagers with a GoPro fight zombie skeletons with skateboards. It's awesome. But there's this weird, like, uncanny valley that you fall into when you use the real tools, like you use the real old cameras, because I think we've almost forgotten what they look like. And we've probably at this point seen more fake VHS than we have seen real VHS or real, like, mini, DV tape. So it's cool. It's like there's something about it that's like really arresting, and it's just because it's so normal.
Yeah, I mean, it was just footage that I'd found from various different tapes and DVs. But yeah, it does look really nice. And at points, some of the shots that aren't in there, like my dad is very good with the camera. Now he's terrible, but back then he was so nice that there was some really cinematic shots in there, like him holding the camera outside the car while they're driving. It looks kind of like David Lynch, like. It's really there was some nice stuff that was not included, but yeah, it's just normal DV.
Yeah,
normal, yeah.
That's cool. What was the process like of, like, editing this stuff? Like, how much did you have to sort through of, like, not just home footage, but like the footage that you shot when you were there visiting?
Yeah, quite a lot, but there, like, most of what you see is the best bits. Like, I think there isn't anything else that, well, I say that, I suppose I'm saying that comedy wise, but yeah, there were also things I didn't want it to be too I don't know. It was a difficult thing, because, like, how much do you need to know about what happened, and, like, that sort of thing. Those bits were cut out. Those sort of moments where we talked about it. But yeah, like, putting it together was quite a difficult process. I never cried so much making something, apart from when it's like corporate work. That's really maybe cry more. But yeah, no, it was a really strange thing, and it took maybe longer than an edit like that should, but that was just it's the nature of it, I suppose.
Generally speaking, are you the kind of person who, when you put something together, you kind of like put a lot in, and then you kind of like find what you can take out? Or do you make things that are like sort of skeletal, and then you realize that you have to like put something in here?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way, the latter is, like, building the house brick by brick, opposed to, like, I don't know what the other, building a mansion and then chopping it down.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm that. I think I fill up the house with a ton of stuff and then start throwing things out.
That's the metaphor. That is the best metaphor. But yeah, no, that comes across in your work, actually, that you have so much going on. I quite like that, though. I really want to be that, but I just feel like there isn't enough going on in my life to make that interesting.
I kind of always think of it as sort of being like music. Like, I think that everything that anybody makes who has a style that you can feel, they're like, they're following a rhythm, you're following what feels right to you. And it's tough, because when you end up in situations where you have to explain it to someone else, when you're accountable to somebody else, you sometimes have a hard time explaining it, because you're like, no, it has to feel like this. But I think you have to just follow your own internal rhythm, and Yours is like maybe a little steadier and sparer, and mine is a little chaotic or something. But it's, you know, it's the rhythm you got to follow.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It might have helped if we got more, but no, I think it came together. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like nothing that when you got home and looked at the footage, you were like, oh no, we missed that part, or we didn't get this piece.
My intention, I mean, this must be so boring to anyone who hasn't seen it, or even boring.
By now they've gone, oh, I do have to stop listening to this podcast and watch this first before I can continue on. Yeah. So it's okay. We've shaken the people, we've shaken the non-watchers off at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I kind of wanted it to all be contained to that, to where it was set in Devon. Mm-hmm. I didn't really want to do any of those interviews because I kind of felt like, I don't know, it was that thing of following the path, following that sort of style, but it ended up being what it was, and you know, I'm happy with it.
I like having the interviews in part because I like this idea of there being. So I talked about before about how I like that it kind of like it breaks through your emotional armor throughout the course of the 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. But there's actually also just these 3 layers, right? Yeah. Of you have like your God level narrator, right? And then you have you and your father talking about this thing that already happened, and then you have it actually happening. And so you can kind of, as you're watching it, and it's very like legible for the viewer, you can sort of travel between these levels of knowledge, like these, like, I think it's probably irony, right? Is what that is. Like, it's different levels of irony and understanding. And that really helps the whole structure. You know, this is like one of those things where if I was someone who processed visual information, I could probably you could probably look at the frames of the film, right? And just try to see like, where is the concentration in which layer? Like, at what part of the film are you seeing more of the interviews than seeing the actual like walk? And it would probably show you something about how the thing works. But then it becomes like that situation where you dissect a frog. It's like, yeah, you can see what's inside, but the frog's dead. You probably wouldn't actually want to know that about yourself. Because then if you tried to create something else, you'd try to follow the same formula. So
yeah, that's very true. That's a good point. Yeah, I want to avoid that, I think.
Yes.
But I think it would be interesting. Someone should do that. But I'm not going to be that person.
Yeah. I do not like getting any like data about things that I do. Like the podcast hosting service that I use, it shows me like, you know, how episodes perform against each other, and I don't look. I do not look. No, I just assume that all of them are doing about the same as each other.
Okay.
And I do not, because I do not want to think I want to do more of this or more of that. You know, I just want to. I try to let what I have recently done determine what I do next, basically. Wow. But yeah, it's really more like about just following like the story in my own head that nobody can really like. I think of the podcast as telling one long story, but it's actually not telling one long story. It's telling the story that I figured out the story was 2 weeks ago, and I will change my mind about 2 weeks from now. But you know, nothing else can really work, you know. And I think that so for me, because I like to map a story onto everything. Now the stuff that you do is in a story, right? Like I already told you, like the animation stuff that you have worked on and the like short films that you've made, they create this kind of version of you that gets both reinforced and broken by watching A Walk with Dad, you know? So like the next major thing that you do will, to me, I will compare it not in a like which one's better way, but like in an emotional arc sort of way, I will compare it to that previous stuff. And I will try to figure out where it fits in the story I have in my head about you.
Is that a thing that you think most people do, or is that a thing that you specifically do? I feel like maybe that is true of how you follow someone on Instagram or
Mhm.
like that you're particularly not in much contact with, you form a story from there.
Yeah, I think everybody does it, but I think just the nature of like working in PR and stuff, I've just learned how to say it out loud.
But I feel like I'm kind of semi-obsessed with the numbers. Not that obsessed, but I definitely do look, and it must have some sort of influence.
Well, A Walk with Dad got that Vimeo staff pick. That was super
Yeah.
cool.
That's now I'm obsessed with like trying to make something that will get one again.
Yeah.
That becomes that's become a thing now.
Because you can see the view count. Like
Yeah.
when I was in college, there was a website called College Humor, and I made a video that made it onto the homepage of College Humor. But
Oh, wow.
I never found out how many people watched it, which I knew was probably a decent number because I knew it was a very popular website. But I never heard the final number. And I was so glad that I didn't, because it doesn't show it anywhere. And I thought, I'm so glad I don't know this, because I will have that as a benchmark in my head that I have to like hit.
Yeah.
So really, Vimeo should just not have told you. They should have.
Oh no, it's so low. Like compared to their other staff picks, it's so low. So I'm not really that I'm not really concerned with. I can understand why it's so low as well, but it's more just like maybe it's like accolades, like it's getting the staff pick, it's like getting the BAFTA.
Well, yeah, the approval of other people who understand what you're doing and appreciate your work, and understand how it's constructed and everything. That's definitely more important. Or that's it again, two different kinds of people, right? There's people that care about the numbers, and there's people that care about the other people and the other connections and everything that gets made. And I have definitely learned to value the relationships more than other stuff.
Yeah. I think that's the way forward. Definitely not. I don't the numbers. I don't really look at. It's more like who's liking it, and which is equally maybe as bad in a different way.
I don't know. I think it's all right. I think that looking for the support of your peers is healthy. I think that's a normal thing that people want in most situations. So it's okay.
Yeah,
you're right that none of it's healthy, but it's the healthiest of the unhealthy.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It's the all natural Doritos.
Yeah. But if that one person hasn't liked it that I have so much admiration for, it's over.
Are you still doing therapy now, even though you got over the creative block?
No, I'm not. I felt I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about therapy, but it didn't do too much for me. I think it did as much as it could have done. And I think I'm trying different ways, going through different methods to try and get more. I just didn't really get anything practical from it. It was good to understand a bit more about my past and present, I suppose, but I didn't really get any sort of techniques or guidance on how to sort of deal with anxiety and all these things.
Yeah.
Which I had at the time. But no is the answer. No is the answer. Not really.
Interesting. Well, that's an interesting answer. I kind of thought the answer would be yes, because it got you to this thing. It moved you to this point where. But I mean, as I do believe, as I said, that probably would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
You kind of you set yourself on several different collision courses with this part of your life, right? First, it happened to you, right? And and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that it did happen to you, man. That's a terrible thing to have happen when you're a young person. I can't imagine. And and it's tough. I think of it as a parent now too, which is like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, way worse. So it's like every like every emotional feeling around that stuff like hits me so hard. So yes, when I watched A Walk with Dad, I was actually laying in bed, like watching it on my phone, the ideal way that anything should be watched. But I'll tell you, I cried. You made me cry.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. It was good though. It felt, because it was a little bit of both, right? It was like, it was like sadness, tragedy crying, but then also like positive father-son relationship crying, So that's a big deal for me. I see very little of that represented in the media. I just watched Ad Astra the other day, where Tommy Lee Jones is like Brad Pitt's evil spaceman dad. Not a great father-son representation there, Felt rang a little too close to home. So I like seeing the positive stuff.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, because that is something I also thought and think about, that there isn't enough nice dad and son relationships in film.
That's true.
Another thing on the I've just remembered on the therapist note, which could be quite interesting, is that I actually showed the film to my therapist.
Oh,
in
yeah?
a session. Yeah. And I almost got her to cry. I almost reversed the session.
Yeah. Oh man, she would have had to quit.
Yeah. They're allowed emotions, I think, but it was a really, that kind of felt like the moment, apart from when I showed it to my dad after.
Yeah.
I think there were two moments that sort of wrapped up. It was like, or maybe there are a few. Maybe it was like actually making it, showing it to my dad and him really liking it, which was bizarre. I really didn't think that would happen, but and then it was showing it to her, and kind of it felt really good.